Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today guys, I'm going to be reviewing all the AFL 2023 unofficial pre-season practice matches which were played over Thursday, February 23rd and Friday, February 24th. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing all those games. So let's go ahead, hop right into things. Alright, so here we go. These are the unofficial practice matches results, which I'm going to go ahead and run through each game as we go. So, number in the brackets are the game scores after the fourth quarter. So, for some of these games which do have numbers in brackets, this is after the real match AFL simulation, which are 4 quarters. And then the other results are from the VFL games, because their VFL or reserve teams did have a hit out. Some of these games, like the Carlton and Collingwood, Sydney and Brisbane, and West Coast and Port Adelaide, were different games altogether, and I could not find a overall result for St Kilda and Melbourne, so I just rolled with their fourth quarter final score. And also, by the way, Gold Coast and Essendon's final score as well was 75-80, even though it was 68-76 at the end of the fourth quarter. However, they only played 10 minutes more with, I'd still say, solid sides. So that's why I've just gone ahead and had that as their final score. Let's go ahead and hop right into things. So also the Bulldogs and the Giants did not choose to participate in an unofficial practice match. They are holding intra-clubs this weekend. And first game is Geelong and Hawthorn, which the final scores were 138-53 after their 4 quarters. And then the VFL sides went in, had a hit out for 4 more quarters and got Geelong's 220 to the Hawks 133. But yeah, these are the scores that we are talking about. This one right here. Alright, so these are the sides. There was 8 30-minute quarters plus time on, 4 for the AFL side, 4 for the VFL side. These are teams if you are interested, but more what I want to go over is the notable absences. So Tom Hawkins, Mitch Duncan, Gary Rowan and Sam Simpson were missing from the Geelong side. 3 of their senior players and 1 of their reserve players. Now, this will also include reserve players in this side as well, I believe. But yeah, Tom Hawkins, Mitch Duncan and Gary Rowan, 3 of their forwards, I'd say, were missing and still managing to put up quite a big number on the board due to an undermanned Hawks defence, which here is the Hawks side. The Hawks, on the other hand, were missing lots of players. Mitch Lewis, Luke Bruce, probably their only 2 forwards this year. They do seem to be rolling. I mean, you do have like Wingard and that, but these are definitely their 2 best forwards. But players like Wingard, Kazitsky, do need to start standing up this year to kick some goals, especially if Lewis and Bruce are missing, because they just got rid of all their players during the trade period. Harry Morrison, Cam McKenzie, Tyler Brockman, Cooper Stevens and Josh Morris were also out in this thumping loss. Next game is Gold Coast versus Essendon. Gold Coast 75, Essendon 80 in a little bit of an upset. Brad Scott's coaching era gets off to quite a nice start indeed. The Bombers, they did trial a couple of players in different positions, and there was one real standout. Alright, so there was meant to be 6 25-minute quarters, no time on. However, they did call the game a little bit earlier. So Gold Coast did do a couple, about 15 more minutes of Gold Coast v Gold Coast with this team. Some notable absences. Big one of Touk Miller. That definitely did hurt them. They probably would have won had it been in the side. Lockie Weller, Sam Collins, Ben King, Jed Anderson, Brandon Ellis, Connor Butterick being the other ones. But yeah, they did have a couple of notable absences. The Gold Coast, they kind of controlled the first half. The Bombers controlled the second half. That is their team. And their notable absences were Elijah Sardis, their number 5 draft pick, Ben Hobbs, Nick Cox, Jake Stringer, Matt Guelphy, Zach Reid and James Stewart. Still managing to conjure up a win. Was really good there by the Bombers. Number 47, Jai Menzie, is definitely one to keep your eye on this year, as he managed to kick 3 goals for the Bombers. And then Tex Wanganeen, I believe, and one of the, I'm pretty sure it was Alwyn Davey Jr. or Jaden Davey, also kicked one of the incredible goals. And Tipper as well, back in Essendon colours, is a sight to see for Bombers fans. Now on to North Melbourne and Richmond, and the final scores after 4 quarters were 73-75. However, they did let their VFL sides go in for a little bit of time, and the final results of that altogether was North Melbourne 99, Richmond 114. Alright, so here we go, North Melbourne versus Richmond, and yeah, North Melbourne only just got over, Richmond only just got over the line by 2 points in the end. Here is North Melbourne side. Harry Sheezer was one that definitely impressed in his first game, kicking 3 goals. I don't think there was a lot of other real standouts, but their notable absences are quite big. Ben Cunnington, they definitely would have missed him. Darcy Tucker, Hugh Greenwood, Jackson Archer, Jai Simpkin. So 2 really big blows in the midfield. Taron Thomas, Todd Goldstein without their best ruckman, George Wardlaw and Daniel Howe. Lots of experience names out for North Melbourne. They are running with quite a younger side, which still did manage to put up a very good fight against a really stacked and packed Richmond side. However, again, like similar to North Melbourne, they did have quite a fair few outs. Shea Bolton, Tom Lynch, Jack Graham, Jason Castagna, Josh Gibcus, Liam Baker, Marlon Pickett, and Nathan Broad. Most players which do normally make the senior side were out for Richmond. However, they did unleash Taranto and Hopper in this game. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting game. North Melbourne, they did actually compete for most of it. However, just at the end, lost by 2 points. Alright, so next game was Carlton and Collingwood. These two old rivals meet, and the final score was Carlton 84 to Collingwood 74. So here's the score. These two sides did run their own VFL game with 4 quarters after, which Carlton absolutely smashed Collingwood. If you want the scores, it was 106 to 39. Carlton absolutely smashed Collingwood in the VFL game. The AFL game, 84 to 74, was a lot closer. Alright, so this did represent a true AFL game. Carlton's side actually looking pretty small, so these players would have been quite tired. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They would have had enough players to make a team, but a very small team. Walsh, Williams, McGovern, Martin, Pitnet, Marchbank, and Dow all out. Collingwood, they had a little bit of a bigger team. Mychek, Ginnivan, Carmichael, Markov, and Bianco out. So definitely, Carlton did have a few more players out, but still did manage to get the job done, which does make things look impressive for their year ahead. It does at least look like they could make finals, but again, Carlton did do this last in the preseason matches. They showed what they can do, but again, when it actually came to execution, they could not do it. Alright, next game, Sydney versus Brisbane. Again, these two sides did run a little VFL match after, but in the AFL game, it was Brisbane 99, Sydney 54. Sydney got absolutely smashed, which could be, maybe, a fall-off. So again, representing a true AFL game, 425-minute quarters. Here is Sydney's side. Some notable absences being McLean, Clark, Cunningham, Papley, Weeks, Constanti, Laddams, Blakey, Hickey, Fox, Amai. So Papley, Cunningham, Clark, perhaps Wicks, Blakey, Hickey, just a couple of those names definitely do make their senior side week to week, so they were missing some of those. But for Brisbane, on the other hand, Dunkley, and then you've got Gunston and Ashcroft were really good for Brisbane. They show that they wear those new colours really well and they're going to be really good this year, especially Will Ashcroft. What he got up to in this game was absolutely amazing. Some absences for them, though, were Archie, Zorko, Lyons, Adams, and Gardner. So, again, quite a bit of experience there, but they are really putting themselves as premiership contenders early on this year. Alright, so again, St Kilda versus Melbourne. St Kilda 46, Melbourne 105. Melbourne absolutely smashed them to show that they are another early premiership contender. So they did do 6 25-minute quarters. I could not find the final result, so I'm just rolling with the AFL game. This is their side for St Kilda. They were without King, Jones, Hayes, Membry, and McKenzie. And for Melbourne, they were without Salem, Meltram, Dunstan, and Fritsch. So definitely Fritsch and Salem with some pretty big outs, but other than that, Meltram and Dunstan don't normally make the side. So this was quite a full-strength Melbourne side. And St Kilda, they didn't really show much signs of improvement or a new game style anyway. They just looked pretty basic, and yeah, they just let Melbourne absolutely run over the top of them. So this could be definitely one of the upsets of the unofficial practice matches for the Adelaide Crows versus Fremantle Dockers, 66 to 77 after 4 quarters. They let their Sandful side go out there, I believe. Still a couple of their players from their main side were out there, but they let a few of their reserves out there as well. And they absolutely smashed Fremantle 93 to 165, which does show they might have a bit of improvement coming this year, the Crows. But after 3 quarters, the final score was. But after 4 quarters, the final score was 66 to 77. Alright, so here is Fremantle's side. So again, 6:25 minute quarters. So 4 quarters of their main AFL side. Then they still let a couple of their main players stay out there. But most of them are reserves. Chapman, Ryan, Frederick, Walters, O'Driscoll, Wagner were out for the Dockers. Especially would have been missing Chapman, Ryan and Walters as well as O'Driscoll. And for the Adelaide Crows, when I saw their team, I did know it was a full-strength side. Rochelle and Rankin played in the midfield as well and looked pretty dangerous, produced a few absolutely cracking moments. And then Taylor Walker was their only real out along with Andrew McPherson. So this was definitely a very full-strength Adelaide outfit. And they did manage to pull off a great upset, which could definitely mean that there could be some results heading their way this year. And yeah, this was a great example of what the Adelaide Crows could potentially do. And then another upset of the unofficial practice matches was West Coast 84 beating Port Adelaide 76. These two sides also did have their reserves go out and play another separate game for 2 quarters, which I'm pretty sure West Coast reserves got over the top of the Port Adelaide reserves. Alright, so it was 4 28-minute quarters for the AFL sides to battle it out, and then 2 20-minute quarters for the reserves to battle it out. And then, so yeah, here's West Coast side, and then their notable absences were Darling, Nadanui, Shuey, Gibney, and Jermaine Jones, which I'm pretty sure all those players actually are in their best 22. Not sure about Jermaine Jones, but all the others would be in their best 22 for sure, and they still managed to beat a Port Adelaide side, which isn't quite up to full strength, but nearly. So they're out Zach Butters, Darcy Byrne-Jones, Francis Evans, Jeremy Finlayson, Josh Sin, Tom Cleary, and Trent Dumont. But it was another ripping upset for West Coast, which does show they might have a little bit more improvement. And last year was just a fluke. Last year was just a bit of a mistake, and that's out of their minds. This year they're ready to start rising back up the ladder. Alright, so there we go. Those are the unofficial practice matches. But yeah, definitely some sides that did show improvement from last year were definitely Essendon, North Melbourne, Carlton, and then West Coast and Adelaide. Those were definitely some sides that showed some improvement from last year. And yeah, some flag contenders that have already established themselves. Definitely Brisbane, Melbourne and Geelong have already set themselves as some front runners. But yeah, I feel like, again, unofficial practice matches, you can never be quite sure with those. Next week is going to be the Amy Community Series, where that's actually going to be some official practice matches. Before then, round 1 kicks off on Thursday the 16th of March. But there was a couple of upsets, couple of cracking games. But yes, this does at least give us a little bit of a feel of where AFL teams might be at ahead of the 2023 AFL season. Feel free to let me know your thoughts of the results in the comment section down below. Other than that, though, thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Send you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much. Subscribe, everyone. Flaming Footy out.